Hello, today I'm going to be checking out the latest case from Thermaltake. This is the View 380 XL TG ARGB, and I found this case on sale today for just under $110. And for a case that looks this good, it seems too good to be true. But is it? Let's dive in and take a closer look. To remove our tempered glass side panel, there's a captive thumb screw at the back we need to loosen, and then it can be tilted out from the top and lifted up and away. Our other mesh side panel is removed in exactly the same way. Our top panel is divided into two. We've got a mesh panel over the main compartment and a solid panel over our second compartment. There's two screws on the top we need to remove, and then our front tempered glass panel can simply be tilted out, lifted up and away. In terms of our front I/O, we've got a power and reset button. There's two USB Type A ports, a combined headphone and microphone jack, and a single USB Type C port. You'll notice we've got a mesh panel which extends from the front to the side of the case, and this is to act as a source of intake for our side mounted fans. So Thermaltake have installed three 120mm reverse blade ARGB fans on the side of the case set to intake. You'll notice these fans are on an angle where they'll be bringing plenty of cooler into the build, but I absolutely love the Thermaltake being able to stick with the traditional rectangle case design on the outside, which looks so much better than cutting this corner off. If you'd rather go with a radiator on the side of the case, the mesh panel is removable, giving you access to the fan screw holes, and it is possible to mount up to a 360mm radiator, although there is no support for fans and radiators in multiples of 140. We've got another 120mm ARGB fan installed at the rear, and at the top of the case you're able to mount up to three 120 or two 140mm fans, or up to a 360 or 280mm radiator. There's no removable bracket, so you are going to have to install your fans and radiators directly to the top of the case. At the bottom of the case we've got a recessed area where you can install up to three 120mm fans, and our case's one and only dust filter is at the bottom. In terms of motherboard support, the case supports motherboards up to ATX in size, and it's great to see that we've got additional cutouts for back connector ATX and micro ATX motherboards. If you want to go with a CPR cooler, the maximum height supported is up to 160mm, and it's good to see that we've got some rubber grommets over the top of the motherboard, and we've got a cable covered bracket to the right of the motherboard. At the rear of the case we've got 8 horizontal expansion slot brackets, and in terms of graphics card support it's absolutely massive, up to a maximum length of 420mm. At Thermaltake want to make sure your graphics card is well supported and include a GPU support bracket. Moving over to our second compartment, we've got a cable covered door which doubles as a drive mounting bracket, and on the back of this bracket you're able to mount either three 2.5-inch drives or two 2.5-inch drives plus a single 3.5-inch drive. Cable management looks like it should be really good with plenty of Velcro cable straps, and as you'd expect with a dual chamber case with back connector support, cable room space is absolutely massive. We've also got plenty of cable ties and Velcro cable straps in our case accessory box. Your power supply is going to go behind the motherboard with its fan facing out the way, and the case is compatible with full-sized ATX power supplies up to a maximum length of 180mm. So what I want to do now is give you a closer look at the build I've put together in the case. Taking a look at our temperatures, our Core Ultra 9 285K idled at 33 degrees and reached a maximum of 87 degrees during a 10-minute idle 64 stability test. The AORUS RTX 5080 Ice idled at 29 degrees and reached a maximum of 59 degrees under load. In terms of noise, we had average noise levels of 32 decibels at idle and 48 decibels under load. So in terms of building the case, as you'd expect being such a large case, the build experience was really good. I think there's just a couple of things to be careful of. The first is your bottom mounted fans, because the area is recessed and it is actually quite tight to get your fans fitted in, particularly if you're joining three fans together I would get them inserted early into the build before you start filling the case up. The other thing to be careful of is make sure the fans you're planning on using actually fit. These Thermaltake fans are actually quite tight, so if you were going to go with bigger fans, they may not fit. And I actually did try sizing up some of Leon Lee's uni fans. The older 25mm fans fitted okay, but some of their newer 28mm fans I couldn't manage to get fitted in. The only other thing to be careful of if you're going with a massive triple slot graphics card like I've got here, the GPU support bracket all the way down this lowest position was actually too high for this graphics card, and I needed to remove one of the thumb screws. So just be careful that you're not going to damage your graphics card. So moving on to the things I liked about the case, and the first thing I like about this case is I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Thermaltake have done such a good job sticking to their traditional rectangle shape, but implementing the angled fans between the front and the side panel. A lot of other cases that are doing this, they're actually cutting the outside of the case and having that angled panel on the outside. Thermaltake have angled the fans but kept the outside of the case looking the same, and it looks really clean, but you're going to get all the advantages of less turbulence in the airflow, angling those fans back and into the case. So all the advantages and none of the downsides. In terms of aesthetics, the recessed fans at the bottom worked really well too. So moving on to the things I didn't like about the case, and I thought it was great that the case came with 4 pre-installed case fans, but it was a little bit disappointing that the fans had 3-pin connectors on them, so you were going to have to run them in DC mode rather than be able to utilise PWM. So in terms of airflow, you could definitely have got away in this case without the bottom mounted fans, but in terms of aesthetics, because Thermaltake had a large recessed hole in the bottom of the case, it wouldn't have looked great without the fans mounted there, and certainly in a case with tempered glass on the front and on the side, aesthetics are going to be important to you. So I think really what Thermaltake should have done is included a further 3 reverse blade fans at the bottom, or actually include a little cover plate to cover that area off, because in its current state you really do need to install those fans at the bottom. The final thing I wasn't a big fan on was the mechanism for mounting our mesh side panel. I found this quite cumbersome to get this panel back on, and never was I able to get it back on the first go. So summing up, the Thermaltake View 380 XL TG ARGB isn't perfect, and part of that goes for the really long name as well. This is the View 380 TG This is the View 380 TG XL. The View 380 XL TG ARGB. But when you consider this case can be had for less than $110 today, it looks so good with the tempered glass on the front and the side, sticking with the traditional rectangle shape, but getting all the advantages, that angled airflow coming in from the front and the side, the fact with the recessed fans at the bottom, a GPU support bracket, and 4 included case fans. It offers incredible value for money, and I can 100% recommend it. If you are wanting to do a build in the case, I have made a full step-by-step PC build guide, and you'll find a link to that video in the description. If you have enjoyed this review, please remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button as well.